We're changing the brake discs, putting replacement with new, and we're putting in new brake shoes because the disc was worn and the pads are worn accordingly. What you will need for this are simply 3 spanners. You are going to need an 18, you're going to need a narrow 15 and a 13. The narrow 15 is going to hold in place the sliding shaft, and the 13 is at the end. So the 15 has to be narrow before you start on this, and you're also going to need an 18. Some toolkits do not include them. That is to actually undo the nuts which hold the whole caliper to, in effect, the front drive mechanism. It's important that you have the 18, a narrow 15 and a 13. Otherwise, it's a non-starter. The 18 holds on the caliper. There's 2 of these and they're held in with locking compound. So you may need something just to persuade them. Make sure you are certain of the direction of unwinding the bolts before you start knocking the spanner. Otherwise you'll be tightening them and that will result. Once you have disassembled the caliper and you've suspended the caliper itself from the front suspension springs, you can give it a clean and then you are prepared. The tricky part is dismantling this. The easy part is the reassembly. If not, here we are. The pads have been slid out and we have new springs and a pair of new pads to fit in place. So this is what the situation will be. Now before you start, ensure, as I always do, that you have 2 jacks. These, the Citan and the Kangoo, are very susceptible to cracking a windscreen. If you start just jacking up unevenly, it will crack the windscreen. So pay attention to using 2 jacks, hoisting up the back and the front. Also, these are vulnerable points here, so you're going to need softeners on them. I've got some thick pieces of rubber which I put in place and they spread the load. You can use a block of wood, but just do not put contact of a metal jack underneath the 2 jacking points. I've gone for the coated discs. They're a little bit dearer, but they're not smothered in grease. Degreasing is a lot easier. You must degrease it. So you're going to need, after assemble, some locking fluid, ceramic grease and some silicone grease. Now you can use copper slip. I've used copper slip in the past for about ever since I've had the vehicles, so I've covered hundreds of thousands of miles, but I have had intermittent fault with the ABS. Now I'm not sure if it's because of the copper slip, but this time I'm going to use some ceramic grease. So there we are, and it's all ready for reassembly. I've not shown you the disassembly because if you're not able to comprehend that, I don't think you're really savvy to put this together. When you're cleaning with the brake fluid, which we have here, when you're cleaning the mechanism, put a tray beneath it so that you're sort of environmentally conscious. It's moved on slightly. I forgot to explain, you're going to need a T40 torque. That's got to be a T40 to undo the 2 locking nuts, locking screws. So you need a 13, a thin 15, 13, a thin 15 and an 18. Helps you've got some, and the T40. So that will enable you to reassemble and dismantle the whole of this. So don't forget, although I said I don't use copper slip, I do. The other thing that you can do while it's down is give it a good brushing. Clean out the whole area and then apply Finnegan's wax oil to the suspension and to the brake pipes. Give it a good clean, have a check round and just clean up. Also with the, I'll show you on the next, but what we need to do with that is clean up the brake bleed and then just give it a half undoing, half unturning, and then just apply some piece of oil on there or some grease so that that doesn't lock in place, that you're able to bleed the system if you need to.